Bob Marley was a legendary Jamaican musician, singer, and songwriter who became the global ambassador of reggae music and Rastafarianism. Here are some known and less known facts about his life. Parents. Bob Marley's parents were Cedella Booker, 1926-2008, a young black Jamaican woman, and Norval Marley, 1885-1955, a much older white British Jamaican naval officer. They had a brief relationship, and Norval was mostly absent from Bob's life, while Cedella raised him in rural Jamaica. Original name and birth date: born as Nesta Robert Marley, his first and middle names were swapped to preserve his masculinity, after a comment was made that Nesta was seen as a girl's name. Additionally, his birth date was incorrectly recorded as April 6, 1945, due to a delay in registration. A natural palm reader at the age of 4, Bob Marley was discovered to have the ability to read palms. When his mother, Cedella, first heard of this from relatives and neighbors, she took it as a joke. However, the palm readings invariably came true, which left her quite shaken. Later, when Marley was older and returned to Kingston, a woman asked him to read her palm. He replied, "I'm not reading no more hand, I'm singing now." 4. As a teen, Bob and his mother moved to Trenchtown, a tough inner-city neighborhood in Kingston. Trenchtown was plagued by poverty, gang violence, and political tension, but it also had a vibrant music scene. Here he met Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh, future members of the Wailers, Rastafarianism. While in Trenchtown, Bob was exposed to Rastafarianism, a spiritual and cultural movement that deeply shaped his identity and music. Many of his friends and neighbors practiced Rastafarian beliefs, which emphasize unity, African pride, and a spiritual connection to the divine, including reverence for Haile Selassie, the former emperor of Ethiopia. His exposure to these beliefs in Trenchtown greatly influenced his songwriting, which often touched on themes of freedom, unity, and spirituality. Political assassination attempt on December 3, 1976, 2 days. Before the Smile Jamaica concert, Bob Marley and several others were shot during a political assassination attempt at his residence in Kingston, Jamaica, when armed gunmen stormed the property and shot Bob Marley, his wife Rita, and manager Don Taylor. Despite being wounded, Marley still performed at the concert, stating, "The people who are trying to make this world worse aren't taking a day off. How can I?" 7. Avid soccer enthusiast. Bob Marley was an avid soccer fan and played for the Jamaican national soccer team before turning his focus to music. He often gave interviews while playing soccer with the interviewer, feeling it was the most genuine way for strangers to get to know him. Soccer served as his comfort and a return to his happy, calm place. In 1977, when Pele was in New York to play an exhibition match, Bob Marley took the opportunity to meet the famous player. They shared a mutual admiration for each other. Pele was a fan of Marley's music, and Marley admired Pele's athleticism and influence. Diet aligned with Rastafarian beliefs. Marley's diet was heavily tied to Rastafarian and Jamaican traditions. He adhered to the Dietary tradition, emphasizing a plant-based diet of natural food grown from the earth. Even while on tour, he brought his personal chef Jilly, who prepared meals based on Dietary principles, avoiding pork and salt. No Woman, No Cry. The title, No Woman, No Cry, can be roughly translated to Woman, Don't Cry, or Don't Cry, Woman. It's a message of reassurance, telling a woman not to be upset or sorrowful despite difficult circumstances. The song speaks to both personal struggle and resilience. The song is rooted in Marley's own experiences growing up in Trenchtown, where life was difficult. It is said that the song reflects the struggles of his mother and the community around him, particularly the challenges that women faced in such a tough environment. Quiu. Children and relationships. Marley married Rita Anderson that he met in the early 1960s, when she was a member of the group The Solettes, a girl group that eventually became part of the famous I-Threes, the backing vocal trio for Bob Marley and the Wailers. Together they had 4 children, including Ziggy and Stephen. However, Marley had 11 children with 7 different mothers, including Damien and Julian. Advocate for marijuana. Bob Marley was a vocal advocate for the legalization of marijuana, believing it had spiritual and medicinal properties. He was arrested several times for possession of marijuana and used his platform to promote its benefits. Pan-Africanism. Bob Marley, while not officially involved in politics, used his music to advocate for social justice, equality, and freedom. His songs often addressed themes of anti-colonialism, Pan-African unity, and resistance to oppression. Marley was heavily influenced by his Rastafarian beliefs, which emphasized African liberation and spirituality. He became a symbol of peace and unity during Jamaica's politically turbulent 1970s. Marley continued to use his platform to promote nonviolence and unity. Marley also supported African independence movements, notably in Zimbabwe, and his songs, like Zimbabwe and Africa Unite, became anthems for liberation. His legacy remains as a powerful voice for human rights, peace, and social change, with his music continuing to inspire movements for justice around the world. Africa Concert. Bob Marley and the Wailers performed in Libreville, Gabon, in January 1980. This marked his first concerts in Africa. The performances took place at the Gymnase Omnisport Bongo, a sports complex named after Gabon's then-president Omar Bongo. The concerts were held on January 4th, 5th, and 6th, 1980, as part of Marley's Survival Tour, which focused on themes of African unity and liberation. Marley's visit to Gabon was facilitated by Pascaline Maferi Bongo, the daughter of President Omar Bongo. She had a personal relationship with the icon. Cancer diagnosis and death. In 1977, while on tour, Bob Marley noticed a suspicious spot on his toe, which began to bother him. It was later discovered to be a malignant melanoma, a type of skin cancer. Marley was a Rastafarian and believed in the natural healing methods of his faith. Because of this, he initially sought alternative treatments and avoided conventional medical care. However, as his condition worsened, he eventually sought medical help, but by that time it was too late. By the time Marley's condition worsened, the cancer had spread throughout his body, including his brain, which led to severe pain and weakness. Marley continued to perform in his final year, including a tour that ended in the spring of 1980. However, by late 1980, he was unable to continue due to his declining health. Bob Marley passed away in Miami, Florida at the age of 36. 15. Buried with his guitar. Upon his death, Bob Marley was buried with his favorite guitar, a Gibson Les Paul, which he considered his security blanket. He was also buried with a soccer ball and a bud of marijuana, reflecting his passions and beliefs. Bob Marley is recognized globally, with his music loved by people of all ages and backgrounds. His 1984 album, Legend, has sold over 28 million copies worldwide. His influence continues through various ventures managed by his family, including Marley Coffee, Marley Apparel, and Marley Natural Marijuana. He is remembered not just as a musician, but as a cultural and political figure who used his platform to advocate for justice, equality, and human rights, leaving a lasting legacy long after his death in 1981.